Colorado, a land of towering mountains, winding rivers, and historic towns, is not only famous for its breathtaking landscapes, but also for the shadows that linger in its past. Beneath the beauty lies a tapestry of ghostly legends, haunted buildings, and restless spirits. From abandoned mines and crumbling asylums to grand hotels and historic homes, Colorado holds secrets that refuse to rest. Tonight, we journey into the state's most haunted locations, uncovering the stories that chill the bones and awaken curiosity. Each of these 20 places tells a tale of tragedy, mystery, and the supernatural. A reminder that even in the sun-drenched Rockies, darkness can linger. The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, is a majestic building perched on a hill overlooking the town. Its elegant architecture and historic charm drawing visitors from across the globe. But beyond its stately appearance, the hotel carries a reputation far darker and more intriguing. It is one of the most haunted locations in Colorado, if not the entire country. Its notoriety was cemented when Stephen King stayed at the hotel in 1974 and drew inspiration for his iconic novel, The Shining. Yet long before the story of the Overlook Hotel captivated readers and moviegoers, the Stanley had its own rich history of unexplained events, spectral sightings, and eerie occurrences that continue to fascinate both guests and paranormal investigators alike. From the moment one enters the grand lobby, a subtle sense of history and unease seems to linger in the air. Visitors often describe an almost tangible presence. Some report hearing the faint strains of piano music echoing through the hallways when no musician is present. Delicate notes that rise and fall as if played by unseen hands. Others recount footsteps echoing in empty corridors. The tap-tap of boots on polished floors where no one walks. These auditory phenomena are often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature. Cold spots that catch guests off guard and hint at the lingering presence of spirits. The fifth-floor corridor is particularly infamous. Guests staying in this part of the hotel frequently report sensations of being watched, even when alone. Shadows are often seen darting at the edges of vision, vanishing when approached, leaving only an unsettling silence. Some have described seeing the fleeting image of a bellhop or maid moving about, only to realize that the staff they encountered had long since finished their duties or departed the area entirely. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to this floor, attempting to capture evidence of the unexplained activity. Many leave with stories of doors opening on their own, lights flickering, and electronic devices behaving unpredictably, all phenomena consistent with reports of restless spirits inhabiting the hotel. The ghosts of the Stanley Hotel are not always malevolent. In many cases, they seem to be residual echoes of the past. Guests have reported seeing figures in vintage attire, perhaps former staff members or visitors from earlier decades, moving through the dining room or along the hallways. Some describe witnessing what appears to be staff attending to invisible guests, adjusting curtains, or setting tables that no longer exist. These spectral apparitions often vanish without warning, leaving behind only a sense of wonder and unease. A reminder that the hotel's past is alive and intertwined with the present. One of the more famous hauntings involves the ghost of F.O. Stanley himself, the hotel's founder. Visitors and staff alike claim to have felt a comforting, protective presence in certain areas, particularly near the lobby and main staircases. Some have seen a figure in early 20th century attire, walking purposefully down the hall, only to disappear around a corner. The impression given is one of attentiveness, as if Stanley's spirit continues to oversee his creation, ensuring that the hotel remains a place of elegance and intrigue, even from beyond the grave. Rooms throughout the hotel have their own tales of haunting. Guests in some suites report doors locking and unlocking on their own, objects shifting mysteriously, or a cold hand brushing across the shoulder during the night. One suite, in particular, is known for repeated paranormal activity, including unexplained shadows, flickering lights, and the sensation of being watched. Some visitors have claimed to see fleeting images of guests from decades past, dressed in period clothing and engaging in familiar routines, while others hear voices murmuring softly in the darkness, as though the hotel itself whispers fragments of forgotten conversations. The hotel's history adds layers of depth to its supernatural reputation. Built in 1909 by F.O. Stanley, a wealthy inventor and hotelier, the Stanley Hotel quickly became a luxurious retreat for wealthy vacationers seeking respite in the Rocky Mountains. Its prominence, elegance, and bustling activity meant that hundreds of staff and guests passed through its halls daily, leaving countless memories imprinted upon its structure. According to paranormal theory, these intense emotional energies, combined with the hotel's long history, create the perfect environment for ghostly phenomena. The echoes of piano music, footsteps, and whispered conversations may be remnants of those emotional imprints, replaying for those sensitive enough to perceive them. Beyond the indoor experiences, the grounds of the Stanley Hotel also seem to be imbued with spectral energy. Courtyards, gardens, and outdoor staircases are frequent sites of ghostly sightings. Guests walking alone in the evenings have reported shadows moving along the periphery of lantern light, figures standing silently and then disappearing, and unexplained sounds carried on the mountain breeze. Even daytime visitors sometimes experience fleeting glimpses of apparitions out of the corner of their eyes, suggesting that the spirits of the Stanley Hotel are active around the clock. The hotel has embraced its haunted reputation, offering ghost tours and paranormal events that allow guests to explore its spectral history in detail. Guides recount tales of apparitions, unexplained activity, and historical anecdotes that help visitors understand why the hotel has become a hotspot for supernatural fascination. Many participants leave the tours convinced of the presence of ghosts, citing personal experiences that cannot easily be explained by rational means. The enduring appeal of the Stanley Hotel lies not only in its historical grandeur, but also in its mysterious and haunting energy. Phantom piano music, fleeting shadows, sudden cold spots, and the spectral presence of former staff and guests combine to create an atmosphere where the past and present intertwine. For those who walk its halls at night, there is a profound sense of history pressing in from every corner, and an awareness that the spirits of the Stanley Hotel are still very much a part of the landscape. Visiting the Stanley Hotel is an experience that blends architectural splendor, historical fascination, and paranormal intrigue. It remains a place where guests can sense, hear, and sometimes see the lingering presence of those who came before, offering a tangible connection to the lives, joys, and sorrows that have unfolded within its walls. Whether it is the echo of piano music drifting through a dimly lit hallway, the sudden chill of a cold spot, or the fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure, the Stanley Hotel continues to captivate and unnerve those who step inside, a true emblem of Colorado's haunted legacy. Central City, Colorado, perched high in the Rocky Mountains, carries the legacy of a bygone era, a time when gold fever swept through the region and fortune seekers flooded its narrow streets. Today, the town's historic charm draws visitors eager to explore its old saloons, theaters, and storefronts. But beneath the lively exterior lies a darker, more mysterious history, one that still lingers in the shadows of abandoned mines and forgotten alleys. Central City was once a booming mining town, and while the gold rush brought wealth and excitement, it also left behind tragedy. Many miners lost their lives in cave-ins, explosions, and other accidents, and according to local legend, their restless spirits continue to haunt the tunnels and streets of the town. The mines around Central City are the epicenter of its paranormal activity. Long-abandoned shafts and tunnels, some stretching deep into the mountain, are said to echo with the cries of those trapped long ago. Visitors to these sites often report hearing faint moans, distant shouts, or the unmistakable sound of pickaxes striking rock, even when no one is inside. Some claim to feel sudden cold spots as they walk through the narrow passages, a chill that seems to follow them, or the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Occasionally, apparitions of miners appear near the entrances to old shafts, their forms silhouetted against a faint light filtering in, vanishing as quickly as they emerge. The streets of Central City itself carry their share of ghostly encounters. Old saloons, many preserved as part of the town's historical charm, are particularly active. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures sitting at the bar, sipping drinks that were never poured, or watching the movement of curtains and objects that no living person could be causing. In some cases, patrons have claimed to hear laughter or conversation from a bygone era, soft and indistinct, as if the echoes of the town's vibrant past refuse to fade. The combination of old architecture, creaking floors, and the lingering presence of history creates an atmosphere ripe for supernatural experiences. One of the most common experiences reported in Central City involves auditory phenomena tied to the miners' work. Even in areas long abandoned, the rhythmic clink of ghostly pickaxes can sometimes be heard, accompanied by the occasional call of timber, a warning shouted by miners to reinforce tunnel supports. Witnesses describe these sounds as both unsettling and hauntingly realistic, as if the miners are still laboring in the dark, trapped between life and death. These auditory echoes are often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature, adding to the eerie, otherworldly sensation. Some of the town's theaters and boarding houses are also said to be haunted by former residents and visitors. Guests have reported footsteps on stairs where no one is present, doors creaking open and closed, and fleeting glimpses of figures moving in the corner of their vision. Shadows often appear near windows and along hallways, disappearing when looked at directly. The combination of historical preservation and supernatural activity gives these spaces a haunting vibrancy, as if the past is bleeding into the present. Many visitors to Central City have described encounters that feel interactive, as though the spirits are aware of the living. In some mines and historic buildings, lights flicker unexpectedly or tools are displaced, prompting witnesses to believe that the ghosts are attempting to communicate or reenact their daily routines. Others report a sensation of being followed by unseen figures, accompanied by soft whispers or murmurs that vanish when addressed. These experiences suggest that the spirits of Central City are not merely residual echoes of trauma, but entities with some degree of awareness, perpetually tied to the town and its history. The town's rich history adds weight to these paranormal claims. Central City was a hub of activity during the gold rush, a place of hope, desperation, and hardship. The human energy generated during those years, combined with the intense emotions of fear, grief, and ambition may have left an enduring mark on the environment. Paranormal theorists suggest that places with such concentrated human experience and emotional intensity are prone to lingering spiritual activity, which could explain the abundance of ghost stories and reported sightings throughout the town. Tours of Central City's historic sites often include tales of spectral miners, haunted saloons, and restless spirits in abandoned mines. Visitors are drawn not only by the charm of the old town, but also by the thrill of potentially witnessing the supernatural. Many leave with chilling stories of fleeting apparitions, unexplained noises, and an unshakable feeling that the past is very much alive. Photographs and recordings sometimes capture anomalies, mist-like figures, orbs of light, or shadows moving against the walls, further cementing the town's reputation as a hub for paranormal activity. Central City, with its crumbling mine shafts, narrow streets, and preserved historic buildings, is a living museum of both human ambition and tragedy. The mining ghosts that reportedly haunt the tunnels and structures are reminders of the risks and sacrifices of a bygone era. Their cries, the clink of ghostly pickaxes, and the shadowy figures wandering the streets evoke the presence of those who came seeking fortune, but found something far more permanent. For those walking the alleys, entering the mines, or exploring the old saloons, Central City is more than a historic town. It is a place where the echoes of the past remain tangible, a haunting testament to the spirits of miners who never truly left. The Molly Brown House in Denver, Colorado, is a stately Victorian mansion that carries both historical significance and a reputation for the paranormal. Built in 1889, it was the home of Margaret Molly Brown, a socialite, philanthropist, and survivor of the Titanic disaster. Her courage, generosity, and spirited personality made her a well-known figure in Denver and beyond. But the house she lived in continues to tell a story long after her passing. Today, the mansion is preserved as a museum, showcasing the lifestyle of an affluent late 19th century family. Yet many visitors find that the house itself is alive in a way that goes beyond history. Shadows move where no one stands, faint whispers are heard in empty rooms, and some have glimpsed what they believe to be Molly Brown herself, still tending to her home as she did in life. Visitors often first notice a sense of presence upon entering the house. The grand parlor, with its high ceilings, ornate woodwork, and gleaming period furniture, seems to carry more than just the echoes of the past. Guests have reported feeling watched, a subtle but unmistakable awareness that they are not alone. Some describe the sensation of being gently guided, as if an unseen hand is leading them along a particular path through the rooms. This feeling is often accompanied by a distinct shift in temperature, sudden chill, that contrasts sharply with the warmth of the Denver air outside, a hallmark of many reported supernatural occurrences. Shadows are a common theme in the Molly Brown house. Visitors describe fleeting movements at the edge of their vision, sometimes disappearing when looked at directly. These are not merely tricks of light or imagination. Many witnesses insist that the shadows take on a distinctly human shape, moving deliberately and with purpose. Some have even reported seeing a figure in period dress, standing by the windows or moving gracefully down the hallway, only to vanish when approached. These sightings suggest the presence of someone who knows the house intimately, someone who remains attached to the environment she once called home. The house is also known for auditory phenomena. Whispering voices have been reported throughout the mansion, soft and elusive, as though conversations are taking place just out of reach. Some guests hear the faint murmur of footsteps on the wooden floors, despite the absence of any living person. Others recount hearing the subtle clinking of teacups or the rustle of fabric, sounds that hint at Molly Brown's presence as she went about her daily routines. These experiences are often described as comforting rather than threatening, giving the impression that Molly's spirit may linger to watch over her home rather than to frighten intruders. One of the more intriguing reports comes from the upstairs bedrooms, where several visitors have claimed to feel an unseen presence near their side. Some describe a hand brushing gently against their shoulder, or a light touch guiding them along a path. In some cases, guests have felt an invisible force nudging objects back into place, as if tidying the house in the way Molly Brown might have done herself. The combination of tactile and visual phenomena has led many to conclude that the spirit of the former Titanic survivor is both active and protective, remaining in her home out of loyalty and care. The history of Molly Brown adds layers of depth to the house's paranormal reputation. Known for her bravery on the Titanic, her charitable efforts, and her larger-than-life personality, she lived a life full of activity and purpose. It is perhaps this strong energy, coupled with the emotional weight of her survival and accomplishments, that continues to resonate within the walls of her home. Those sensitive to the supernatural often suggest that people with such forceful personalities leave behind residual energy, a sort of imprint of their essence, which could explain the persistent hauntings reported in the mansion. Tours of the Molly Brown house offer both historical context and an opportunity to experience the supernatural. Guides share stories of Molly's life and the house's history, while visitors occasionally witness unexplained phenomena firsthand. Many report personal encounters, from sensing someone standing nearby to glimpsing figures out of the corner of their eye. Others feel an emotional presence, a mix of warmth, care, and subtle vigilance, as if the house itself is alive with the memories and personality of its former resident. The kitchen and servant areas are not exempt from paranormal activity. Guests and staff have reported seeing apparitions moving purposefully through these spaces, sometimes performing domestic tasks. The phenomenon is often interpreted as the lingering presence of those who once maintained the household, or perhaps Molly herself, ensuring the home continues to run smoothly in the afterlife. Some visitors describe a faint, pleasant scent of flowers or fresh baked goods, enhancing the sense of continuity with the past. Even the exterior of the house seems to carry supernatural energy. At night, lights flicker in windows where no lamps have been left on, and the silhouette of a figure in period dress has occasionally been seen through curtained panes. The gardens and surrounding grounds, though tranquil by day, have been reported as locations where shadows and movements appear unexpectedly, especially during quiet evening hours. The haunting of the Molly Brown house is not merely a source of fear. It is a reminder of a life lived fully, of courage, warmth, and enduring influence. Visitors leave with more than just historical knowledge. They often recount moments of connection with the unseen, experiences that make the house feel alive in a deeply personal way. The mansion's blend of historical preservation and paranormal intrigue creates an atmosphere in which the past is not distant but ever present, offering a glimpse into both the life of Margaret Molly Brown and the unseen world that has chosen to linger among her belongings. The Molly Brown house remains one of Denver's most captivating destinations, where history, legend, and the supernatural converge. Shadowy figures, whispering voices, sudden chills, and the sensation of unseen guidance combine to make the house a living testament to Molly Brown's enduring presence. Guests leave with the sense that the woman who survived the Titanic, championed social causes, and lived boldly continues to protect her home, her spirit walking the halls long after her time on Earth ended. Denver's Union Station, a grand transportation hub, an architectural marvel, is much more than a busy nexus of trains, commuters, and travelers. Beneath its gleaming ceilings, polished floors, and ornate chandeliers lies a hidden, spectral layer world where the past lingers and the echoes of history refuse to fade. Built in 1914, Union Station has seen over a century of arrivals and departures, the comings and goings of countless passengers, and the bustling rhythm of American rail travel. Yet, beneath the modern renovations and the constant motion, the station harbors stories of ghostly apparitions, unexplained sounds, and paranormal activity that continue to intrigue both visitors and staff. The most common phenomenon reported at Union Station is the sound of phantom footsteps. Late at night, when the crowds have thinned and the echoing halls fall silent, a lone visitor or custodian might hear the unmistakable rhythm of boots clattering across the polished marble floors. These steps often appear to come from hallways or stairwells where no one is present, and the sounds seem to move independently, as if the station itself is alive with memories of travelers long gone. Many claim that the footsteps are accompanied by the faint hiss of steam and the low rumble of trains that no longer run on these tracks, as though the echoes of the past are attempting to replay the station's busiest days. Union Station's platforms are also known hotspots for supernatural activity, though modern renovations have changed much of the infrastructure. The old tracks and platforms retain an air of history, where travelers from decades past are said to linger. Several witnesses have reported seeing figures dressed in period clothing suits, hats, and long coats standing as if waiting for a train that will never arrive. These apparitions often appear at the periphery of vision, vanishing when approached, leaving only a sudden chill and a sense of having been watched. Some staff have described the ghostly silhouettes moving along the platforms, carrying luggage, conversing quietly among themselves, or pausing to peer down the tracks, trapped in an eternal routine of arrival and departure. The station's interior is no stranger to eerie occurrences. Visitors have reported doors opening and closing on their own, the soft murmur of conversations in empty waiting rooms, and unexplained drafts that sweep through the hallways. Lights occasionally flicker without cause, and the faint scent of coal smoke reminiscent of an earlier era of steam-powered trains has been detected by those sensitive to the supernatural. Custodial staff and security personnel often describe an uneasy feeling late at night, a subtle pressure in the air or the sensation of being watched, as if the spirits of the station's past are observing the modern-day activity. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Union Station haunting involves the spirits of conductors and railway employees. Longtime staff members have reported seeing figures dressed in early 20th century conductor uniforms, moving along the corridors, checking clocks, or gesturing to toward invisible passengers. These apparitions seem intent on performing their duties, maintaining order in the station, even in the absence of life. Some workers claim that they have been guided by unseen hands toward areas that required attention, or that minor disturbances in the station such as misplaced objects or equipment appear to correct themselves, as though tended by spectral caretakers. In addition to the staff-related activity, travelers themselves sometimes report interactions with spirits. People recount glimpsing a man or woman standing on a deserted platform, holding a suitcase, or glancing at the timetables with an expression of quiet concern. These figures often vanish when approached, but the sense of presence lingers, sometimes accompanied by a faint echo of footsteps, the jingle of keys, or the whisper of voices that fade when questioned. Union Station's history adds context to its supernatural reputation. For decades, it served as the heart of Denver's rail traffic, connecting the city to the rest of the nation. Millions of people passed through its doors, each leaving behind emotional traces, memories, and a fragment of their existence. Many experienced the joys of reunion, the sorrow of parting, and the tension of travel, all of which contribute to the rich emotional energy that lingers in the building. Paranormal theory suggests that spaces with intense human activity and strong emotions are more likely to retain these energies, producing the hauntings and unexplained phenomena reported at Union Station. Is particularly charged with spectral activity. Guests have reported glimpsing shadows crossing the room, feeling sudden temperature drops, or hearing whispers when no one else is present. Some visitors have sensed a subtle guidance, as if invisible hands are showing them a path through the space or nudging them toward areas of interest. Even in the daytime, when the station is bustling with modern travelers, certain corners and hallways carry an almost palpable weight, an echo of the countless souls who have passed through over the decades. Photographers and paranormal investigators are drawn to the station because of its layered history and continued reports of unexplained phenomena. Equipment sometimes records anomalies in usual orbs, faint sounds, or electromagnetic fluctuations that are difficult to explain. Investigators suggest that Union Station functions as a nexus of residual energy, where the activities of the past continue to manifest in subtle but undeniable ways. Whether it is the echo of boots in empty corridors, the sight of ghostly travelers on deserted platforms, or the faint whispers of long-gone conductors, Union Station offers a tangible connection to Denver's past. Guests and staff alike report a mix of awe and unease, often leaving with the sense that they have glimpsed a world layered beneath the surface of the familiar. The station is a place where history is not only remembered but relived, where the spirits of the past continue their eternal work of arrivals, departures, and quiet observation. Union Station remains a living monument, not just to Denver's transportation history, but to the countless lives intertwined with it, both seen and unseen. For those walking its corridors, the echoes of the past are impossible to ignore, and the spectral presence of travelers, conductors, and unseen guardians makes every visit a journey not just through time, but into the lingering mysteries of the supernatural. Cheeseman Park in Denver, Colorado, is a sprawling urban green space, popular with joggers, picnickers, and families during the day. Its manicured lawns, tree-lined pathways, and tranquil ponds give the impression of serenity. Yet beneath this calm surface lies a dark and haunting history that continues to manifest in unsettling ways. Before becoming a park, this area served as the city's cemetery, holding the remains of hundreds of men, women, and children. Over time, the graves were relocated, but many believe that the spirits of the departed never truly left. Visitors and locals alike have reported a range of paranormal phenomena, from shadowy figures darting across the lawns to the faint sounds of children laughing and playing in places where no one is present. Cheeseman Park has earned a reputation as one of Denver's most haunted locations, a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels inexplicably thin. The haunting presence at Cheeseman Park is first apparent after sunset. As night falls, the quiet pathways and dimly lit benches take on an eerie atmosphere. shadowy figures are often reported along the park's trails, moving with a purposeful yet intangible quality, appearing and disappearing without warning. These apparitions are usually seen from the corner of one's eye, vanishing when observers attempt a direct look. Some witnesses describe seeing figures in period clothing, reminiscent of the people who would have been buried there in the 19th and early 20th centuries. These fleeting encounters leave a lingering sense of unease, as if the park itself remembers the lives it once held and continues to honor them in spectral form. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves ghostly children. Park goers at night sometimes hear the sound of laughter, footsteps, and the patter of tiny feet racing across the grass. In several accounts, these playful noises seem to come from nowhere, echoing through empty areas where no children are present. Occasionally, witnesses claim to see shadowy figures of children chasing each other or playing with invisible toys. These spirits appear almost translucent, their movements swift and fleeting, as though replaying moments of joy and innocence long after death. Many speculate that these are the souls of children who were interred here, returning to the place where their lives were cut short, eternally engaged in games that they never truly left behind. The central area of the park, once the main burial ground, is particularly active. Witnesses have described seeing what appeared to be figures rising from the earth, as if climbing from their graves under the moonlight. These apparitions are often accompanied by a subtle chill, a sudden drop in temperature that adds to the unsettling experience. Some park visitors have reported feeling watched, even when alone, or sensing a presence moving alongside them on deserted paths. Others have claimed that the spirits respond to human attention, pausing or vanishing when they sense observation, giving the impression that the dead are aware of the living intruding upon their space. Auditory phenomena are also common at Cheeseman Park. Many people report hearing whispers, often unintelligible but unmistakably human in nature, drifting through the trees and along the pathways. The sounds sometimes appear to form sentences, fragments of conversation from decades past. Some witnesses describe the faint creaking of wooden structures, the rustle of clothing, or the soft tapping of shoes across grass and gravel, all occurring when the park is otherwise completely silent. These sounds contribute to the park's haunted reputation, offering a chilling reminder of its past as a place of mourning and remembrance. Local lore suggests that the restless energy in Cheeseman Park may stem from the improper relocation of graves during the park's conversion from cemetery to recreational space. While the majority of bodies were exhumed and reinterred, some accounts claim that several graves were disturbed or overlooked. Paranormal investigators often cite this as a potential explanation for the persistent haunting, suggesting that the spirits remain tethered to the land, unwilling or unable to move on. Others believe that the energy of a cemetery, once concentrated in a particular area for decades, leaves an imprint that can manifest in visual, auditory, and tactile phenomena for generations to come. In addition to human spirits, some visitors report experiencing an overwhelming sense of being drawn to specific areas, often the old burial sites marked by plaques or historical signage. People describe a combination of awe, fear, and curiosity, as if the past is reaching out to them. Occasionally, individuals attempting to photograph or film the park at night capture unusual anomalies, faint orbs, mist-like figures, or unexplained shadows, providing visual evidence that complements the eyewitness accounts. These occurrences have made Cheeseman Park a popular site for both ghost enthusiasts and paranormal investigators, drawn to the lingering presence of the departed. Despite the eerie reports, many visitors to Cheeseman Park speak of their experiences as surreal rather than frightening. The park's spirits are often described as playful or curious rather than malevolent. Some people feel a sense of connection to the past, a subtle reminder of the lives once lived here, in a city where modern development and urban life dominate. Cheeseman Park remains a pocket of history, memory, and supernatural resonance, where the echoes of the departed continue to manifest in ways that are at once haunting and strangely beautiful. Cheeseman Park stands as a testament to the endurance of memory and the lingering presence of those who have passed on. From shadowy figures wandering the grounds to ghostly children playing under the moonlight, the park offers a glimpse into a world that exists alongside our own. The combination of visual apparitions, unexplained sounds, and tactile sensations creates an immersive and haunting environment, making Cheeseman Park one of Denver's most compelling and mysterious locations. Visitors leave with more than a walk through scenic pathways. They leave with the sense that the spirits of the past are alive, watching and playing just beyond the edge of perception. A quiet but undeniable echo of history that continues to haunt the city's present. The Oxford Hotel in Denver stands as a testament to the city's rich history and enduring architectural charm. Established in the late 19th century, this historic hotel has welcomed countless travelers, dignitaries, and curious visitors over the decades. Its grand lobby, ornate staircases, and period furnishings transport guests back to a time when Denver was emerging as a bustling urban center. Yet behind its elegant facade and warm hospitality lies a layer of mystery and the supernatural side of the Oxford Hotel that has earned it a reputation as one of Denver's most haunted locations. Guests and staff alike report encounters with disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and objects that appear to move on their own, creating an atmosphere that is as chilling as it is intriguing. The haunting presence in the Oxford Hotel is most often felt in the hallways and corridors that connect its historic guest rooms. Many visitors have recounted seeing dark, shadowy figures flitting through the upper floors, just at the edge of perception. These apparitions often vanish when approached, leaving only a lingering chill and a sense of unease. Some describe the figures as vaguely human, dressed in clothing from the late 1800s or early 1900s, suggesting that they may be the lingering spirits of past guests or former employees. The shadows sometimes appear in reflection or in peripheral vision, vanishing the moment one attempts to focus directly on them. Another common occurrence involves disembodied voices. Guests have reported hearing whispers in empty rooms or hallways, soft murmurs that seem to emanate from nowhere. These sounds are often indistinct, impossible to understand fully, but unmistakably human in origin. Occasionally, staff members claim to have heard conversations occurring in spaces where no one is present, or even a voice calling their name when the area is empty. Some visitors report hearing the clinking of glasses or footsteps echoing in rooms that remain unoccupied. The cumulative effect of these experiences contributes to the Oxford's eerie atmosphere, leaving both visitors and staff with a sense that they are not alone. Objects moving on their own is another hallmark of the Oxford's paranormal activity. Guests have recounted books sliding across shelves, chairs shifting slightly from their original positions, and items mysteriously falling from tables or counters. In many cases, these occurrences are subtle and unnoticed movement that is only recognized later, but some witnesses have described startling incidents, such as doors swinging open abruptly or light fixtures shaking without cause. While skeptics may attribute these events to the natural settling of an old building, the sheer consistency and frequency of such reports over decades point to a more mysterious explanation. The hotel's lobby, with its rich wood paneling and antique furnishings, is often described as a hotspot for paranormal activity. Guests passing through the area have felt sudden touches, as if unseen hands brushed past them, or experienced a fleeting sensation of being guided or nudged in a particular direction. Some have described a cold draft that moves against the flow of the air conditioning or ventilation system, or a sudden drop in temperature when standing in specific corners of the room. The effect is often brief but pronounced, leaving a lingering impression that the energy of the past is actively interacting with the living. Guest rooms, particularly those in the oldest sections of the hotel, have their own histories and reported hauntings. Some visitors have described feeling a presence while lying in bed, or seeing objects shift slightly when they are not looking. Others have reported seeing translucent figures standing at the foot of the bed, only to vanish when observed directly. In some cases, Guests claim to hear soft footsteps pacing outside their doors in the middle of the night, accompanied by faint whispers or the sense of someone watching them from the hallway. The combination of visual, auditory, and tactile experiences creates a multisensory encounter that reinforces the Oxford's reputation as a haunted hotel. Staff members, particularly those who work overnight or maintain the historic floors, also report unusual experiences. Housekeepers and night clerks speak of items being moved unexpectedly, unexplained noises, and fleeting glimpses of figures passing through hallways. Some have even recounted instances where they felt a sudden cold hand on their shoulder, only to turn around and find no one present. Maintenance personnel have noted that electrical systems and lighting sometimes behave strangely in the older sections, though no mechanical explanation can account for the timing or pattern of the anomalies. Many paranormal investigators have visited the Oxford Hotel to document its haunted reputation. Some have captured anomalies on video, such as fleeting shadows or orbs of light, while others have recorded unexplained sounds on audio devices. These investigations suggest that the hotel functions as a focal point for residual energy memories, emotions, and perhaps unresolved events from its long history, which manifests in ways visible or perceptible to the living. Despite the haunting reports, many visitors describe their experiences at the Oxford Hotel as fascinating rather than terrifying. There is a palpable sense of history and presence, an opportunity to feel connected to the countless individuals who have passed through its doors. The combination of elegance, history, and the paranormal creates a unique atmosphere, blending nostalgia with a touch of fear. From shadowy figures in the hallways to disembodied voices and unseen touches, the Oxford Hotel offers guests a glimpse into a hidden layer of Denver's past. Its rich history and the consistent reports of paranormal activity make it one of the city's most compelling haunted locations, where the echoes of previous centuries continue to interact with the present. Visitors leave with more than a stay in a historic hotel. They leave with the impression that the Oxford Hotel remains alive, not just with people, but with the lingering spirits of those who have called it home across generations. The Central City Opera House, nestled in the heart of Colorado's historic mining town, is a stunning relic of 19th century architecture and culture. Built during the height of Central City's gold rush, this theater was designed to bring sophistication and entertainment to a town bustling with miners and prospectors. Its ornate interior, complete with gilded balconies, intricate plasterwork, and a grand stage, evokes an era when opera, theater, and musical performances were the pinnacle of cultural experience in the mountains. Yet beyond its elegance and artistry, the Opera House has earned a reputation for something far more mysterious: paranormal activity that continues to captivate visitors, performers, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Locals and guests claim that the spirits of actors, musicians, and audience members linger long after the final curtain, creating an eerie presence that feels both alive and disquieting. One of the most frequently reported phenomena at the Central City Opera House is the flickering of lights at seemingly random times. Even when the building is empty, chandeliers and stage lights are said to blink or dim without any electrical explanation. Some witnesses have reported entire sections of the auditorium illuminated or darkened abruptly, creating dramatic shadows that seem to move independently. These unexplainable shifts in lighting are often accompanied by a sense of presence, a feeling that someone or something is observing from the balconies or backstage areas. For those exploring the Opera House after hours, the combination of flickering lights and silence can be profoundly unsettling, as if the theater itself is alive with the echoes of its past. Footsteps are another hallmark of the Opera House's haunting activity. Patrons and staff frequently report hearing the sound of shoes clicking on the polished stage, even when no one is present. The steps often follow a deliberate pattern, moving from stage to wings or circling the auditorium, as though invisible actors are performing a rehearsal. Sometimes the footsteps are light and measured, resembling a dancer's practice, while other times they sound heavy and hurried, reminiscent of a frantic performer rushing to meet a cue. Visitors describe the sensation of being followed by these phantom sounds. A tactile reminder that the space is haunted by more than memory. It is haunted by energy, emotion, and presence. Some describe shadowy figures appearing on stage, dressed in period costumes from the late 1800s, as though performing a scene invisible to the living. Others report seeing fleeting glimpses of performers in the aisles, interacting with empty seats or gesturing to one another. Occasionally, these apparitions linger long enough for observers to catch the outline of a face or the details of a costume, only for the figure to vanish when approached. The consistency of these sightings has led many to believe that the spirits are reenacting moments from performances long past, trapped in a cycle of their final acts, forever bound to the theater that was once their livelihood and passion. Musical phenomena are equally common at the Central City Opera House. Pianists and violinists performing on stage or practicing in the rehearsal rooms have reported hearing notes played in harmony with their own, despite no one else being present. On occasion, ghostly melodies drift through the auditorium, faint but distinct, evoking operatic arias or orchestral pieces from the 19th century. Audience members visiting during special tours or late-night investigations have described the subtle sound of applause or murmured conversation, as though a full house has gathered to witness a performance that exists solely in the spirit world. These auditory experiences reinforce the feeling that the opera house is a space where the past refuses to remain silent. Icy chills and sudden drops in temperature are commonly reported by those walking through the building late at night. Visitors describe a sense of cold air sweeping through the theater, often accompanied by the faint scent of perfume or cologne, reminiscent of an era long gone. While others report an inexplicable heaviness in certain seats or sections of the auditorium. The combination of sensory anomalies, temperature changes, tactile sensations, and unexplained sounds creates a multi-layered haunting that leaves witnesses both awed and unnerved. Backstage areas are particularly active, with many experiences centered around the dressing rooms and wings where performers once prepared. Wardrobes seem to open on their own, mirrors reflect shadowy forms, and props occasionally shift position without explanation. Staff members working late have reported seeing figures emerging from the wings, moving with precision and intent, only to vanish into empty space. These experiences suggest a lingering attachment to the theater itself, a powerful connection between the spirits and the place where they expressed their art and lived their lives. The opera house's haunting is not limited to performers alone. Some have reported seeing ghostly audience members in the balcony or scattered throughout the auditorium, seated in stillness as though attending a show. These spectral patrons are often described as dressed in period attire, their faces expressionless yet present, watching events unfold silently. Occasionally, their presence is accompanied by subtle reactions, a faint sway in a balcony railing, the rustle of clothing, or the soft echo of a whisper. These apparitions, combined with the ghostly performers, create the impression that the theater exists in two layers, one for the living and one for the dead. Despite its haunted reputation, the Central City Opera House continues to thrive as a cultural hub. Performances, tours, and historical preservation draw visitors from across the country, many eager to experience the theater's charm and its mysteries. For those who encounter the supernatural elements firsthand, the experiences are often described as thrilling rather than frightening. A glimpse into a world where artistry, emotion, and memory linger long after the final curtain. The Central City Opera House stands as a remarkable intersection of history, culture, and the paranormal. From spectral actors and musicians to ghostly audience members, flickering lights, and footsteps echoing on empty stages, the theater offers a hauntingly immersive experience. Those who pass through its ornate doors may leave with more than memories of performances. They may carry the sense that, in Central City, the echoes of the past are never truly gone, and the spirits of the Opera House continue their eternal, silent show. The Boulder Theater, nestled in the heart of downtown Boulder, Colorado, stands as a striking testament to early 20th century architecture and the city's vibrant cultural history. Built in the 1900s, the theater has served as a hub for music, plays, and film for over a century. Its ornate interior, complete with intricate moldings, velvet curtains, and a sweeping stage, exudes a charm that transports visitors back to a time when live performance was the centerpiece of community life. Yet behind its historic elegance lies a layer of mystery and the supernatural. Over the decades, the Boulder Theater has become the subject of numerous ghost stories, with apparitions of performers, phantom applause, and music heard in empty rooms, creating an atmosphere where the past refuses to remain silent. Many of the most frequently reported encounters occur on the stage itself. Patrons and staff have described seeing shadowy figures moving across the stage, performing as if the audience were still present. Some witnesses claim these apparitions appeared dressed in costumes from decades past, reflecting the theater's long history of productions. The figures are often seen rehearsing, gesturing, or moving in perfect sync with invisible partners, giving the impression of a performance frozen in time. When approached, these specters vanish abruptly, leaving only the echo of footsteps or the faint sound of rustling fabric. These sightings are often accompanied by an eerie sensation of being watched, as though the spirits of past performers continued to perfect their craft long after their mortal lives ended. Phantom sounds are another hallmark of the Boulder Theater's haunting. Guests frequently report hearing applause, cheering, or laughter emanating from empty rooms or the auditorium itself. The sounds are distinct, sometimes even matching the timing of performances that once took place in the theater. Some visitors have heard the faint notes of piano music drifting from the stage or the strings of a violin played in perfect harmony, despite no instruments being present. Others report hearing murmured conversations, stage cues, or even the distinct shouts of directors calling to actors from wings long deserted. These auditory phenomena reinforce the idea that the theater remains alive in some spectral way, hosting shows for an invisible audience that never leaves. The balcony and seating areas of the theater are not immune to paranormal activity. Guests have described cold spots sweeping through rows of seats, or the inexplicable sensation of being nudged, as though an unseen presence is guiding them. Accompanied by the faint scent of perfume or cologne, reminiscent of the theater's early patrons. Occasional glimpses of shadowy figures sitting in the balcony have been reported, their attention seemingly fixed on the stage, silent and motionless. These apparitions, combined with the spectral performers on stage, create an immersive experience where the lines between past and present blur. Backstage areas, particularly dressing rooms and wings, are said to harbor some of the most active spirits. Doors opening or closing without explanation, and mirrors reflecting figures that vanish when looked at directly. Performers who prepare for modern shows have recounted hearing the soft click of shoes on hardwood floors or the faint rustle of costumes, even when no one else is present. These experiences often leave staff and performers with a heightened sense of awareness, as though the history of the theater is actively interacting with the living. Many of the theater's hauntings are tied to its long and storied past. The Boulder Theater has hosted countless productions, from vaudeville acts to dramatic plays and concerts, spanning multiple generations. With each performance came the intense emotions of actors, musicians, and audiences alike: excitement, fear, passion, and despair. Paranormal theorists suggest that places with such concentrated emotional energy are prone to residual hauntings, where the intensity of past experiences leaves a lasting imprint on the physical space. In the case of the Boulder Theater, it seems that the echoes of these performances remain, replaying in subtle or vivid ways for those sensitive enough to perceive them. Visitors to the theater have also reported interactions that feel almost deliberate, as though the spirits are aware of their presence. In some instances, lights flicker or dim when a person enters a particular area, or a sound coincides with their footsteps, creating a sense of connection across time. Some guests have claimed to hear whispered words of encouragement or faint guidance, as though the performers from the past are subtly acknowledging the living, reminding them of the theater's enduring magic. Despite these eerie experiences, the Boulder Theater continues to thrive as a cultural landmark. Audiences flock to its historic stage for music, film, and live performances. Often aware of the stories surrounding its haunted reputation, many describe the experiences as fascinating rather than frightening, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the theater's charm. The presence of ghosts, both seen and unseen, enhances the feeling of history and continuity, making each visit not just an entertainment experience, but a brush with the past. From shadowy performers on the stage to phantom applause, rustling costumes, and spectral audience members, the Boulder Theater offers a hauntingly immersive experience. Visitors stepping through its doors may leave with more than memories of a performance. They may carry with them the undeniable sense that the theater itself is alive with the echoes of its storied past, where the spirits of performers continue to play for an audience that exists only in the realm of the supernatural. The Hotel St. Julian in Boulder, Colorado, is renowned not only for its elegance and luxury, but also for its intriguing reputation as one of the city's most haunted locations. Since opening its doors, the hotel has welcomed travelers from all over the world, and a sense of historic charm that sets it apart from modern establishments. Yet behind its polished floors and grand architecture lies a hidden layer of mystery. Guests and staff have reported a range of paranormal activity, from sudden cold spots and doors opening on their own to shadowy figures moving silently through hallways. Some have even claimed to hear the soft strains of piano music and faint whispers emanating from rooms that have long been abandoned, giving the impression that the hotel harbors more than just memories of its living occupants. Many visitors first notice the strange cold spots while walking through the hotel's corridors, particularly in the quieter, less trafficked areas. These drops in temperature often occur suddenly and without warning, sending shivers down the spine and creating an almost tangible sense of presence. In some cases, guests have reported that the cold air seems to move with them, brushing past shoulders or wrapping around their ankles, as though following or guiding them through the hallways. The sensation is frequently accompanied by a subtle feeling of being watched, intensifying the sense that the hotel's past occupants have not entirely left. Doors that open and close, seemingly on their own, are another frequent occurrence. At Hotel St. Julian, guests have described standing in front of a room, only to see the door slowly creak open, despite no one touching it. In other instances, doors slam shut without warning, startling those nearby and creating echoes that reverberate down the halls, or hearing the faint click of a latch being released in empty spaces. These incidents often occur during late-night hours, when the hotel is quiet and the effect is amplified by the silence, leaving an unsettling impression that unseen forces are navigating the building. Shadowy figures have been observed by both guests and employees, particularly in the hallways and near the staircases. Witnesses describe these figures as vaguely human in shape, sometimes appearing to pause and watch before vanishing into thin air. The apparitions often move fluidly, as though gliding rather than walking, and are usually perceived in peripheral vision, disappearing when looked at directly. Some guests have even reported feeling a presence pass close behind them, accompanied by a sudden chill or a soft brush of air, as if an invisible entity were moving through the same space. The most enigmatic experiences at Hotel St. Julian involve the mysterious sounds that permeate certain areas of the building. Faint piano music has been reported echoing from empty rooms or long-abandoned suites, often melodic and distinct, yet with no apparent source. Guests claim to hear soft, distant whispers accompanying the music, voices that are indistinct but unmistakably human in tone. Some describe the whispers as guiding them, calling their names, or simply murmuring words too soft to comprehend. The combination of sound, temperature, and visual anomalies creates a layered haunting that feels both immersive and tangible. Several rooms and corners of the hotel have been identified as particularly active. In some suites, guests report objects shifting slightly, chairs moving, or curtains fluttering despite closed windows. Staff members have recounted instances of finding items out of place after a room was prepared, only for them to return to their original positions by the next morning. The subtle manipulation of the environment contributes to the sense that the hotel itself is alive with residual energy. holding on to the echoes of past events and the spirits who once inhabited its spaces. The history of Hotel St. Julian provides some context for these unusual occurrences. As one of Boulder's premier hotels, it has hosted countless visitors, including notable figures, performers, and dignitaries. Each occupant brings their own energy, and some paranormal theorists suggest that the accumulation of emotional intensity over decades can leave lasting impressions on a location. The result is a rich tapestry of sensory impressions that manifest as visual, auditory, and tactile hauntings for those sensitive to the supernatural. While the presence of spirits might seem unsettling, many guests describe their experiences as more fascinating than frightening. Some feel a curious connection to the past, a sense of walking through a space that remembers the people who have come before. The spectral piano music, whispers, and glimpses of shadowy figures offer a glimpse into a world where time is layered, and the boundaries between past and present blur. From sudden cold spots and self-operating doors to shadowy apparitions and haunting melodies, Hotel St. Julian presents a hauntingly immersive experience for anyone willing to explore its corridors and rooms. Guests leave with more than memories of comfortable accommodations. They carry a sense of the hotel's hidden history, a feeling that the spirits of the past continue to linger, watching over the building and reminding visitors that, in Boulder, the echoes of time are never truly silent. Central City Cemetery, perched on the hills surrounding the historic mining town of Central City, Colorado, is a place steeped in history, memory, and an unmistakable air of the supernatural. Established during the town's gold rush heyday, the cemetery is the final resting place for miners, pioneers, settlers, and the many who labor to build a life in this rugged mountain region. Over the decades, the cemetery has developed a reputation for eerie activity, drawing both history enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike. Visitors frequently report feeling an unseen presence, hearing unexplainable sounds, and catching glimpses of ghostly figures moving among the weathered tombstones, as if the dead are retracing the lives they once led. The first thing many notice when approaching Central City Cemetery is the pervasive stillness. Unlike modern cemeteries, where landscaping and layout create a sense of order, this burial ground has a raw, untamed feel. Graves are scattered along uneven terrain, marked by faded headstones and simple wooden crosses. The combination of rugged topography and the weight of history creates an atmosphere that feels alive with memory, where the past refuses to remain buried quietly. Some say it begins subtly, a prickling along the back of the neck, a feeling that eyes are tracking every movement. Others report more direct encounters, glimpses of figures in the periphery, disappearing when looked at head-on, or shadows that seem to shift and move independently of the surrounding trees and stones. The figures are often described as faint and translucent, occasionally appearing fully formed in the moonlight, clothed in the styles of miners or pioneers, with worn coats, hats, or boots. These apparitions frequently retrace the paths of the living, as if the dead are walking among the graves once more, following routes familiar in life but now shrouded in darkness. Sounds also contribute heavily to the cemetery's haunting reputation. Visitors report hearing the crunch of footsteps along gravel paths where no one is present, faint murmurs that rise and fall with the wind, and even the occasional distant clink of a mining pick, as though echoes of the town's past labor are replaying in the night. Some have claimed to hear whispers calling their names, soft and almost imperceptible, prompting a shiver that runs through the spine. At times, the wind seems to carry ghostly laughter or conversations, fragments of life from another era that cling stubbornly to the stones and trees. Among the most commonly reported phenomena are the ghostly figures seen wandering between graves. Witnesses often describe spectral miners, hats pulled low over their faces, lanterns glowing faintly in hand, or pioneers wrapped in cloaks, moving slowly as if tending to the cemetery in some eternal vigil. Some apparitions appear in small groups, while others wander alone, pausing as though aware of the living presence nearby. These sightings frequently coincide with feelings of sudden cold, the air dropping several degrees in the shadow of a gravestone, a chill that seems to emanate from nowhere and envelops the observer completely. The combination of visual, tactile, and auditory experiences creates an immersive haunting that leaves visitors deeply unsettled but compelled to explore further. Central City Cemetery also carries stories of specific spirits with tragic histories. Miners who perished in cave-ins, children who succumbed to illness, and settlers who struggled against the harsh mountain winters are all said to linger, bound to the place by unfinished business or lingering attachments. Some witnesses claim to see figures kneeling at graves, brushing off the snow or dust that never falls, or standing silently in contemplation, their faces a mask of sorrow. These personal encounters reinforce the cemetery's reputation as a place where history is not only remembered but relived, where the lives of the departed continue to echo across time. The cemetery's eerie energy is particularly potent at night. As darkness falls, shadows lengthen, and moonlight casts sharp contrasts across headstones, trees, and uneven terrain. Many visitors report a heightened sense of presence after dusk, when the living are few and the cemetery's restless inhabitants are free to move unnoticed. Photographers and ghost hunters often capture unexplained orbs, mists, or shadow figures, adding visual confirmation to the many verbal accounts of ghostly activity. These nighttime experiences are consistently described as both beautiful and unnerving, a reminder of the thin line between the living world and the afterlife in this historic site. Despite perhaps because of its haunted reputation, Central City Cemetery remains a place of fascination and respect. Visitors often tread carefully, aware that they are walking among the stories of those who came before. Many leave with a sense of reverence, feeling that the spirits they glimpsed or sensed were not malevolent but guardians of memory, keeping the town's history alive in spectral form. The cemetery's unique combination of natural beauty, historical significance, and paranormal activity makes it a compelling destination for anyone drawn to the mysteries of the past. From the faint echoes of miners' footsteps to the wandering figures of pioneers and settlers, Central City Cemetery offers an immersive glimpse into a world where the past never fully sleeps. Those who enter its gates may leave with more than memories of weathered stones and mountain views. They may carry with them a haunting awareness that, in Central City, the dead continue to walk among the living, preserving the stories, struggles, and spirits of an era long past. In the heart of downtown Denver, nestled among the glass towers and bustling streets, stands the Oxford Hotel, a grand relic of the 19th century, its red brick facade whispering stories of a bygone era. Opened in 1891, the hotel has welcomed presidents, poets, and outlaws, its marble floors and gaslit sconces preserving a timeless elegance. But behind its polished doors and velvet drapes lies a room that defies explanation. Room 320. Guests who check into Room 320 often do so unaware of its history. They admire the high ceilings, the antique four-poster bed, the vintage wallpaper with its intricate floral pattern. It's a room steeped in charm until night falls. The first reports began decades ago. A businessman from Chicago claimed he awoke at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of faint sobbing. The room was icy, though the thermostat read 72 degrees. As he sat up, he saw them shadows, tall and indistinct, standing in the corner near the armoire. They didn't move, they didn't speak. But he felt watched, studied, as if he were the intruder. He packed his bags and checked out before sunrise. Over the years, the stories multiplied. A newlywed couple reported waking to find their clothes scattered across the floor, though nothing was missing. The woman swore she saw a woman in a long, dark dress standing by the window, her back turned, hair cascading down in curls. When her husband turned on the light, the figure vanished. The maid the next morning found the window locked from the inside, untouched. Another guest, a journalist researching Denver's haunted past, set up a camera in Room 320. The footage showed nothing unusual until the early hours. At 3:14 a.m., the digital clock flickered. The room temperature dropped 15 degrees in seconds. Then, on the recording, a faint whisper, "You shouldn't be here." The journalist left the hotel that night and never returned. Maids report that no matter how thoroughly they clean, dust reappears overnight on the dresser. The scent of lavender, explained and lingering, fills the air, though no such perfume is used in the room. One housekeeper claimed she found a vintage locket on the nightstand, tarnished and old, engraved with the initials EM. No guest had reported losing it. When she handed it to the front desk, it vanished by morning. Historians have tried to trace the room's past. In 1912, a woman named Eleanor Marlowe reportedly stayed in room 320 during a visit to Denver. A widow, she had come west to escape a scandal in Boston. Records show she died in the room under mysterious circumstances, officially ruled a heart attack. Though some whispered of suicide, her body was found near the window, a letter in her hand, addressed to no one. The letter was never made public. Others believe the room's unrest stems from the hotel's construction. The Oxford was built atop the site of an old boarding house, which burned down in 1887, killing several residents. No bodies were recovered. Some say their spirits never left. Modern guests still book room 320 some out of curiosity, others in defiance of the rumors. Most leave without incident. But for a few, the experience is unforgettable. One woman claimed she woke to the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of her bed. She felt the mattress dip, heard the creak of old springs. When she opened her eyes, no one was there. But the impression on the mattress remained. The hotel management maintains that room 320 is simply well loved, and that the stories are part of the Oxford's rich lore. They don't discourage bookings. In fact, the room is often the first to be reserved. Still, some guests request to be moved after just one night. They speak of sleeplessness, of dreams that feel too real, hallucinations, of whispered conversations in empty corners, of figures glimpsed in mirrors that aren't there when they turn. Room 320 remains elegant, inviting, and to some, undeniably alive, whether it's the echo of a lost soul, the residue of tragedy, or something beyond understanding. One thing is certain: those who spend the night are never quite the same when they leave. The Oxford Hotel keeps its secrets well, but in room 320, the past doesn't sleep. It watches, it waits, and sometimes it reaches out. The fort near Morrison, Colorado, stands as a silent sentinel of the state's frontier past, a place where history is not just remembered but built to replicate the forts of the 1800s. This site was originally designed to honor and preserve the legacy of soldiers who served during Colorado's early territorial days. Yet, over the years, countless visitors have reported experiences that suggest the spirits of these soldiers never truly left. The fort's walls, wooden and weathered with age, seem to hum with energy after sundown, carrying whispers, footsteps, and fleeting glimpses of figures dressed in period military uniforms. Many of the reports center around the main parade grounds and the surrounding buildings. Guests strolling the area in the late afternoon or evening often speak of hearing the soft shuffle of boots on wooden floors or the distant clinking of metallic equipment, as if soldiers are conducting inspections or performing their duties long after the fort's operational days ended. The sounds are so vivid that they sometimes create a sense of unease, making visitors question whether they are alone or merely stepping back in time into a living echo of the past. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves apparitions in full period uniforms. Witnesses have described seeing soldiers walking along the old palisade walls or standing silently near the gates, staring into the distance as if keeping watch. Some figures appear so solid that, at first glance, they seem entirely real, though they vanish when approached, leaving only the chill of the evening air behind. Guests often remark on the sense of presence these apparitions convey, a weight that is both commanding and strangely melancholic. Inside the fort's main building, more intimate encounters have been reported. Visitors have claimed to feel cold drafts sweep through rooms that have been closed for years, accompanied by the faint sound of whispers that seem to float just beyond comprehension. These voices are rarely coherent, but carry a tone of urgency or warning, as if trying to communicate something long forgotten. Staff and guests alike have noted doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering in rooms where the electrical systems have been modernized, and the sensation of being followed along narrow hallways. Some describe feeling a hand brush past them or a tap on the shoulder, only to turn and find the space empty, reinforcing the sense that the fort is alive with unseen residents. Even the exterior grounds of the fort carry their own share of stories. On quiet evenings, when the wind rustles the surrounding trees, some visitors report hearing what sounds like marching or commands being issued from the parade grounds. Footsteps seem to approach and recede, creating the unnerving impression of a unit of soldiers conducting exercises in the dark. A shadowy figure is seen moving near the gates or along the walls, disappearing when anyone attempts to confront or follow it. Hikers and evening walkers near the fort have also noted the scent of leather, gunpowder, or horse, fleeting traces that suggest the presence of life from a bygone era. Some of the most compelling experiences are tied to reenactment events and historical tours. Participants often feel watched by unseen eyes, hearing whispers or seeing fleeting glimpses of figures that do not belong to the present-day gathering. Guides report that certain areas of the fort seem to retain residual energy from past events, where the line between history and haunting becomes almost imperceptible. Visitors have recounted seeing figures freeze mid-action during moments of reenactment, then slowly fade as if dissolving into another time, leaving only the echo of their presence behind. While some might dismiss these experiences as imagination or the result of the fort's historical ambiance, the consistency of reports from different visitors, staff, and reenactors over decades suggests something more mysterious at work. The fort's combination of authentic architecture, historical significance, and long-standing human energy seems to create the perfect environment for lingering spirits. Those who have walked its grounds after sunset speak of an atmosphere that is heavy with history, tinged with a sense of duty and melancholy, and occasionally punctuated by startling, inexplicable events. Nestled high in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, winding through steep canyons and across iron trestles that cling to the cliffs, the Georgetown Loop Railroad was once a marvel of 19th-century engineering, vital artery for silver and gold miners during Colorado's mining boom. Today, it's a scenic tourist attraction, a nostalgic journey through alpine forests and rugged terrain. But for some who ride its vintage cars, the experience becomes something far more than a historical reenactment. They speak of ghostly figures in soot-stained overalls standing along the tracks, of spectral conductors walking through closed doors, and of phantom trains that appear out of thin mountain fog trains that vanish before they reach the station. The original Georgetown Loop was completed in 1884, a breathtaking feat of engineering that used a narrow-gauge track to spiral upward through the mountains, connecting the mining towns of Georgetown and Silver Plume. It was a dangerous undertaking workers risked their lives laying rails across icy cliffs and through unstable rock. Accidents were common. In 1886, a massive avalanche buried a section of the line, killing at least 6 men. Their bodies were never fully recovered. Over the decades, more lives were lost, miners, brakemen, engineers all swallowed by the unforgiving landscape. Today, the restored railroad runs heritage steam engines for tourists, offering breathtaking views and a glimpse into the past. But for a growing number of passengers, the past doesn't stay in the past. In the late 1990s, a family from Texas reported seeing a man in a 19th-century railroad uniform standing at the edge of the High Line trestle during their ride. He wore a flat conductor's cap and held a lantern, though no such figure was scheduled for that leg of the tour. When the train passed, he was gone. The guide confirmed no actors were stationed there that day. More unsettling are the accounts of phantom trains. On quiet nights, when the last tourist train has returned to the depot, local rail workers and nearby residents have reported seeing a second trainet's headlamp glowing a dim, flickering orange, moving along the tracks in the opposite direction. It makes no sound until it nears the tunnel near Silver Plume, where suddenly a sharp whistle pierces the mountain air. Yet when crews investigate, the rails are empty. No engine, no smoke, no footprints in the snow. One volunteer conductor, working the holiday steam run in 2015, claimed he stepped off the train during a stop to check the coupling. As he walked along the side, he saw another train approaching from the opposite direction, old-fashioned, blackened by soot, with faded lettering on the side. He waved, expecting the engineer to slow, but the train passed right through his position like a mirage. The air turned icy. He later described the faces in the cab: pale, hollow-eyed men staring forward, unblinking. When he radioed the station, they confirmed no other train was scheduled. Others speak of whispers in the car's voices in thick Irish and German accents, languages common among the immigrant laborers who built the line. A woman once reported feeling a hand on her shoulder during a night ride. When she turned, no one was there. Her daughter, sitting across from her, had seen a man in a miner coat sitting beside her mother, then vanishing when the train entered a tunnel. Even the restored depot in Georgetown has its anomalies. Staff have found tools, misplaced overnight lanterns, lit without explanation, switches thrown on control boards that hadn't been touched. Security cameras have captured fleeting shadows moving through the engine house. Though the building was locked and empty, skeptics argue that the stories are fueled by suggestion. The isolated location, the creaking of old trains, the natural echoes in the canyon. But those who've experienced something on the Georgetown Loop often don't laugh it off. They speak in hushed tones of a feeling that lingers long after the ride ends. For a moment, the veil between centuries thinned, and the past stepped forward. Whether it's the restless spirits of men who gave their lives to the rails, or echoes imprinted on the stone and steel of the mountains, one thing is clear: the Georgetown Loop isn't just a journey through Colorado's scenic beauty. For some, it's a passage through time, and on certain misty mornings, when the whistle blows from a train that isn't there, the ghosts of the loop are still at work hauling, or calling signals, and riding the rails long after the world has moved on. In the heart of downtown Denver stands the Brown Palace Hotel, an opulent landmark that has welcomed presidents, celebrities, and countless travelers since it first opened its doors in 1892. With its grand atrium, ornate architecture, and history steeped in elegance, the hotel remains a jewel of Colorado hospitality. Yet behind the glamour and refinement lies another layer to the story of the Brown Palace, layer woven with whispers of the supernatural, tales of lingering spirits, and unexplained phenomena that have captivated visitors for generations. Guests and staff alike tell of strange experiences within the hotel's historic corridors. The echoes of phantom footsteps are perhaps the most common report. Late at night, when the hallways grow quiet and guests retreat to their rooms, the sound of measured walking often emerges, as though someone in heavy boots or fine dress shoes were pacing just out of sight. More unsettling still is the fact that these footsteps often appear to follow guests, stopping only when the unnerved individual halts, as if the unseen presence were deliberately toying with them. Flickering lights add to the atmosphere of mystery. Electric lamps in the hotel's older sections sometimes dim or flare without explanation, even after modern wiring upgrades. Guests have described being left in darkness for a moment, only for the bulbs to flare back to life with a sharp brightness, as though someone or something had been momentarily tampering with the hotel's power. Though maintenance staff attribute such incidents to normal malfunctions, many guests are not so easily convinced. Among the most unnerving stories are sightings of ghostly figures wandering the hotel's halls. Visitors often describe shadowy women dressed in the attire of the late 19th or early 20th century. These apparitions, seen gliding across the lobby, ascending the marble staircases, or lingering near guest room doors, vanish when approached. Some believe they are the spirits of women who once frequented the hotel during Denver's early days. Perhaps socialites who attended lavish gatherings, or even performers who entertained wealthy guests. Whatever their origin, the appearances are enough to leave modern visitors unsettled and questioning the boundaries between past and present. The hotel's long history provides fertile ground for ghostly legends. During its more than a century of operation, the Brown Palace has been the stage for countless human dramas, romances, betrayals, celebrations, and sorrows. Some accounts suggest that one particularly persistent spirit is that of a woman who once lived in the hotel for many years, becoming so attached to the place that she never left. Guests have reported feeling her presence in certain rooms, where the sensation of being watched can be overwhelming, accompanied by unexplained cold drafts and the faint rustle of skirts brushing past. There are also stories involving the staff of the hotel. Housekeepers sometimes report returning to freshly made rooms only to find the beds rumpled, toiletries displaced, or furniture slightly shifted, as though an invisible guest had arrived after their work was done. In the service corridors, strange whispers echo faintly, impossible to trace to any living person. One employee even claimed that while she was pushing a housekeeping cart, it suddenly rolled backward against her, as if an unseen hand had shoved it with force. Another chilling tale involves the hotel's historic ballroom. Staff working late after events have reported hearing music drifting faintly through the space, even when the room is completely empty. The strains of violins or pianos seem to echo from another era, recalling the grand dances once held under glittering chandeliers. Sometimes the music is accompanied by the sound of laughter or clinking glasses, creating the illusion of a ghostly celebration unfolding in the shadows. Those who encounter this phenomenon often leave quickly, unwilling to disturb the unseen revelers. The Brown Palace has even been linked to a famous scandal that adds another layer to its ghostly lore. In the early 20th century, the hotel became part of the infamous Brown Palace murders, a love triangle that ended in violence and shocked the city. Some believe the lingering energy from that tragedy continues to haunt the building, leaving behind restless spirits that refuse to let go of the past. Guests have awakened in the middle of the night to see figures standing at the foot of their bed, only for the intruders to dissolve into shadow. Others report the feeling of being touched, sometimes a hand on the shoulder. Other times, the sensation of someone brushing past, despite being completely alone. The hotel embraces its ghostly reputation without sensationalizing it, recognizing that these stories are part of what makes the Brown Palace such an enduring landmark. Paranormal investigators have even visited, capturing unusual sounds, cold spots, and strange electronic disturbances that suggest some truths may lie beyond the limits of ordinary science. For many, the allure of the Brown Palace lies in this blending of elegance and mystery. By day, it is a symbol of luxury and history, a place where the grandeur of Denver's past meets the bustle of modern life. By night, however, the hotel transforms into something else, a space where the veil between past and present thins, and where those who linger too long in the quiet hallways may encounter more than they bargained for. Whether or not one believes in spirits, the experiences reported within the Brown Palace are difficult to dismiss. The phantom footsteps, flickering lights, and spectral figures serve as reminders that history leaves its marks in ways we cannot always see or explain. The hotel stands not only as a monument to Denver's golden age, but also as a haunted echo chamber of the lives, loves, and tragedies that once filled its walls. And for those willing to listen closely, the voices of the past may still whisper through its corridors, telling their stories long after their earthly hosts have departed. The Idaho Springs Hotel, nestled in the quiet mountain town of Idaho Springs, Colorado, is a place where history and the supernatural seem to blend together seamlessly. Once a bustling stopover for weary miners and travelers making their way through the rugged Colorado terrain, the hotel has stood the test of time, its walls steeped in the memories of both hardship and fleeting prosperity. Yet for all its charm and historic appeal, it is also a place where shadows linger long after sundown, and whispers of the past continue to echo through its halls. Guests who stay here often leave with far more than a comfortable night. As rest, they leave with stories of encounters that defy explanation. The hotel dates back to the late 1800s, when Idaho Springs was a thriving hub of mining activity during Colorado's gold rush. Travelers, prospectors, and merchants passed through constantly, and the hotel quickly became a central fixture of the town. Its reputation for hospitality endured, but so too did the tragedies and hardships of its earliest days. Mining was a brutal profession, claiming countless lives through accidents, collapses, and illness. Many of those who lost their lives are believed to linger still, their spirits tied not just to the mines but also to the places where they once sought refuge, including the Idaho Springs Hotel. Over the years, countless guests have reported strange encounters within the hotel's old rooms and corridors. Some speak of seeing shadowy figures in work clothes, wearing minor helmets and carrying the faint glow of lanterns. These apparitions are often spotted late at night, drifting silently through the halls as if searching for something they lost long ago. Guests describe the figures as so solid in appearance that, dissolving into the dim light, other visitors tell of hearing the unmistakable sound of pickaxes striking rock, echoing faintly from within the hotel itself. The rhythmic clinking, out of place in such a setting, often startles guests awake in the middle of the night. Some say the noises seem to come from beneath the building, as though the miners are still at work in tunnels that no longer exist. Alongside the sounds of mining, there are also whisper-soft, urgent voices warning of cave-ins or urging people to leave. These spectral warnings, chilling in their delivery, are often so vivid that guests have gone to the front desk in alarm, only to learn that no one else reported hearing them. One of the most chilling accounts comes from travelers who describe a heavy presence in certain rooms. Many guests have reported lying awake at night, unable to shake the feeling that they are not alone. They describe the sensation of being watched, the hair on their arms standing on end as the room's atmosphere grows dense and cold. Some claim that unseen hands have brushed against them or tugged lightly at their blankets, as though reminding them of the presence of another occupant. In the lobby, a number of staff members have reported unusual activity that seems tied to the hotel's earliest guests. The antique furniture occasionally shifts just slightly, as if someone unseen has sat down to rest after a long day. Lights flicker despite electrical systems being updated, and mirrors in the lobby are said to briefly reveal fleeting images of figures dressed in 19th century clothing. On more than one occasion, guests have sworn they saw a miner's face reflected over their shoulder, only for the vision to vanish when they turned around. Stories from the hotel's bar are equally unsettling. Bartenders have claimed that glasses sometimes slide across the counter without being touched, and a faint smell of tobacco smoke occasionally fills the air. Patrons have reported seeing a man in rugged mining attire seated at the far end of the bar, staring silently into his drink before fading away. Some say he appears only when the bar is quiet, as though drawn back to the place where he once sought escape from the harsh realities of mining life. For those who stay overnight, the upper floors of the Idaho Springs Hotel are the most notorious. Room doors occasionally open and shut on their own, accompanied by footsteps pacing the hallways long after everyone has gone to bed. Guests who stay in certain rooms wake to find their belongings subtly rearranged, as though someone has been searching through their things. One chilling report tells of a traveler waking to the sound of boots shuffling near the bed, only to open their eyes and see the shadowy outline of a miner standing at the foot of it. When the guest sat up, the figure simply dissolved into the darkness. The hotel remains an important piece of Idaho Springs history, drawing in curious travelers who want to experience its historic charm. Yet, for those sensitive to the energies of the past, the Idaho Springs Hotel offers far more than a history lesson. It is a place where the stories of the miners and travelers who once passed through seem to remain alive, replaying themselves through sights, sounds, and sensations that cannot be explained away. Whether it is the ghostly strike of pickaxes, whispered warnings from the long dead, or the spectral presence of miners searching for rest, the hotel reminds its visitors that history never truly disappears. It lingers just beneath the surface, waiting for those willing to listen. For many, a stay at the Idaho Springs Hotel is a glimpse into the supernatural, a chance to walk alongside the spirits of Colorado's mining past. For others, it is an unsettling experience they would never choose to repeat. But for all who come, one thing is certain: the Idaho Springs Hotel leaves its mark, blending the weight of history with the chilling possibility that its past residents never really left at all. St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Denver stands as a grim reminder of a bygone era, a building whose walls have witnessed both life-saving triumphs and heartbreaking tragedies. Established in the early 20th century, the hospital served the city for decades, providing care for countless patients. Over time, however, it developed a reputation that extended beyond medicine. Stories of lingering spirits, unexplained sounds, and shadowy apparitions began to circulate among staff, patients, and locals. Today, although the hospital has long been closed, its legacy persists, not just in historical records, but in the chilling tales of paranormal activity that continue to surround the site. Visitors to St. Elizabeth's frequently report hearing the eerie echoes of footsteps in corridors that have long been abandoned. The sound often comes at night, reverberating through empty hallways with a precision that seems almost purposeful. Some hear a rhythmic pacing, as though a nurse or orderly is making rounds long after their time, while others describe hurried footsteps that stop abruptly when they approach the source. Many who explore the building report the sensation of being followed, an invisible presence that mirrors their movements, creating a tension that lingers long after they leave the premises. Auditory phenomena at St. Elizabeth's extend beyond footsteps. Guests and urban explorers often recount hearing cries and murmurs from empty rooms, sounds that echo the hospital's history of pain and suffering. Some of these noises are intermittent, sharp, desperate wails, while others are quieter, almost whispering, as if spirits are attempting to communicate messages lost to time. Staff members who once worked in the hospital also recalled hearing these unexplained sounds, especially in areas where patients with serious illnesses were treated or where traumatic events occurred. The cries are not always malevolent, but they are undeniably unsettling, a haunting reminder of lives once tethered to the building's clinical walls. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of St. Elizabeth's paranormal activity. Many witnesses have reported seeing dark, human-shaped silhouettes in dimly lit rooms or at the end of long hallways. Some figures appear to be moving with intent, pacing, gesturing, or watching those who enter, while others seem to vanish the moment they are observed directly. The appearances are often fleeting but leave a lasting impression, accompanied by sudden chills or a sense of being watched. Visitors occasionally describe glimpsing nurses in old-fashioned uniforms or patients in hospital gowns, their expressions solemn, as if trapped between the world of the living and the world beyond. Some experiences at St. Elizabeth's are tactile. Guests have reported cold spots in specific rooms, where the temperature drops dramatically without explanation, leaving them shivering even on warm days. Others have felt a gentle brush on the arm or shoulder, only to turn and find no one there. These physical sensations often coincide with visual or auditory phenomena, creating a multisensory haunting that leaves observers questioning whether what they feel is residual energy from the past, or the conscious presence of spirits who remain bound to the building. The hospital's operating rooms and patient wards seem to be especially active areas. Explorers and former staff alike report hearing the faint metallic clang of surgical instruments or the subtle squeak of hospital beds moving on their own. Shadows may flit across walls or linger near doorways, while visitors feel an oppressive heaviness, as if the energy of the past has seeped into the very air. Some have claimed to hear whispered warnings or snippets of conversations, often fragments of sentences that suggest fear, pain, or confusion, the human remnants of lives interrupted too soon. Urban explorers have documented additional anomalies with cameras and recording devices. Orbs of light, misty apparitions, and other unexplained visual anomalies appear in photographs of empty hallways and rooms. Audio recordings occasionally capture strange, indistinct whispers or moans that were not audible during filming. While skeptics may attribute some of these occurrences to environmental factors, the consistency of reports over decades suggests a persistent presence that transcends individual perception. The history of St. Elizabeth's Hospital provides context to its haunting. Many patients who passed away here were unable to receive the care modern medicine now offers, and sudden deaths were not uncommon. Staff endured grueling conditions, witnessing suffering and mortality on a daily basis. It is perhaps this combination of trauma, loss, and human emotion that left an indelible mark on the building itself. creating an environment where residual energy remains palpable. The spirits are not thought to be malicious, but their presence is undeniably powerful, often evoking empathy, fear, or deep reflection in those who encounter them. From the sound of phantom footsteps echoing through deserted corridors to the cries of unseen patients and the shadowy figures drifting among the darkened wards, St. Elizabeth's Hospital presents an immersive encounter with the paranormal. Visitors who explore the site often leave with a profound awareness of the lives and struggles that unfolded within its walls, sensing that the past is never truly gone. The spirits linger in the abandoned halls, tied to the place where they lived, suffered, or worked. And their presence continues to make St. Elizabeth's a site of fascination for those drawn to the mysteries of the unseen. Walking through the silent halls of St. Elizabeth's Hospital is more than a tour of an old building, yet is an encounter with history etched in shadows, sounds, and spectral forms. The hospital's ghosts, whether seen, heard, or felt, serve as a reminder that human experience leaves lasting impressions, and that the echoes of lives once intertwined with the building continue to resonate, haunting those who dare to enter. The Gilpin Hotel in Central City, Colorado, stands as a testament to the town's vibrant past and its lingering echoes of the supernatural. Established during the late 19th century, when Central City thrived as a gold mining hub, the hotel once welcomed miners, gamblers, and travelers seeking both fortune and leisure. Over the years, the Gilpin developed a reputation that extended beyond its luxurious accommodations. Tales of laughter echoing through empty halls, whispers in the dead of night, and ghostly figures tending the bar began to circulate, drawing paranormal enthusiasts and curious visitors alike. Guests often speak of the hotel's uncanny ability to make the past feel alive. Some report hearing faint laughter echoing from the old saloon area, a sound that seems almost celebratory yet carries a hint of melancholy. The laughter is sometimes accompanied by the soft clinking of glasses, as if long-gone patrons are still toasting victories or mourning losses. These auditory experiences are often fleeting, appearing and disappearing without pattern, leaving visitors with the unsettling impression that the hotel itself holds on to memories of its former revelers. Whispers are another common phenomenon reported at the Gilpin Hotel. Visitors have described hearing murmured conversations coming from empty corridors or rooms, voices speaking just out of comprehension. Some say the whispers sound like casual chatter, perhaps echoes of past guests, while others believe they are warnings or messages from spirits trapped between worlds. The whispers often rise when guests are alone, creating an intimate and eerie experience that makes it feel as though the building itself is alive and watching. Visual phenomena have also been reported. Shadows are frequently seen moving across walls or flitting through hallways, sometimes darting around corners or lingering near doorways. Some guests have witnessed full-bodied apparitions, most notably in the hotel's historic bar area, dressed in period attire, quietly attending to invisible patrons. Witnesses describe him polishing glasses, pouring drinks, or arranging bottles on shelves, all while completely unseen by the living. On several occasions, guests have claimed to have felt the presence of this spectral bartender nearby, a chill in the air or a subtle shift in energy suggesting that he is aware of their presence. The bar area, in particular, seems to serve as a focal point for paranormal activity. Guests have reported glasses rattling on their own, bottles tipping slightly. Some visitors have tried to record the phenomena, capturing the sounds of clinking glass and whispered voices that were not audible to the naked ear. These experiences reinforce the notion that the Gilpin Hotel's ghostly activity is tied closely to its history as a lively gathering place, where revelry and misfortune alike left lasting imprints. Beyond the bar, the hotel's hallways and guest rooms are also sites of spectral encounters. Many report feeling cold spots in certain areas, sudden chills that appear without warning, and an inexplicable sense of being watched. Some have felt invisible touches on their arms or shoulders, as if a past guest or employee is brushing past them, moving unseen through the space. Objects occasionally move on their own, such as chairs shifting slightly or doors opening and closing without explanation. These physical sensations combine with auditory and visual phenomena to create an immersive experience of haunting that extends throughout the building. The Gilpin Hotel's architecture contributes to its haunted atmosphere. Its narrow hallways, ornate woodwork, and antique furnishings create an environment where shadows and light play tricks on the eyes, and sounds echo in unexpected ways. These structural elements, combined with the hotel's rich history, make it an ideal setting for paranormal activity. Guests often find themselves drawn into moments where the line between past and present blurs, sensing the energy of those who once walked the halls long before them. Staff members have also encountered unexplained events. Housekeeping reports objects slightly out of place, rooms that appeared disheveled despite being secured, and sudden drops in temperature. Maintenance personnel have heard footsteps in empty corridors or the faint clinking of glass in the bar after hours. These consistent reports from both visitors and staff suggest that the Gilpin's supernatural activity is not isolated. Allowing modern visitors to experience the energy and emotion of a bygone era. From the ghostly bartender tending invisible patrons to the echoes of laughter and whispered conversations, the Gilpin Hotel offers a hauntingly immersive encounter with Central City's past. Visitors leave with stories that linger, a sense of the spirit's presence still palpable in the hallways, and a reminder that the energy of history can remain alive long after the people who created it have gone. The Gilpin Hotel is more than a building. It is a living archive of Colorado's Gold Rush era, haunted not by malevolence but by memory, preserving the echoes of lives that once made the city thrive. The Strata Hotel in Durango, Colorado, stands as a living monument to the Old West. Built in the late 19th century, the hotel welcomed miners, railroad workers, and travelers seeking comfort and reprieve in a bustling frontier town. Over the decades, the Strata has developed a reputation for something beyond its luxurious accommodations, and Victorian charm. Numerous reports of paranormal activity have made it one of Colorado's most intriguing haunted locations. Guests and staff alike tell stories of ghostly visitors who check in but never leave, leaving behind echoes of a bygone era. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at the Strata Hotel is the sound of disembodied footsteps. Visitors often hear the soft tap of shoes on the hardwood floors late at night, long after the hotel's public spaces have emptied. These footsteps appear to move with purpose, pacing along hallways, ascending staircases, or stopping abruptly outside doors. Some guests have claimed to hear multiple sets of footsteps, as if a small parade of ghostly visitors is moving through the building. The sounds are so distinct that they often prompt those present to investigate, only to find the halls empty and silent once more. In addition to footsteps, flickering lights are a frequent occurrence. Guests report lamps and chandeliers dimming or brightening inexplicably, sometimes illuminating hallways in a sudden, almost theatrical glow before returning to darkness. Some believe these lights correspond to the presence of spirits, as they often coincide with other paranormal activity, such as cold spots or the sensation of being watched. The flickering creates an atmosphere of tension and suspense, enhancing the hotel's eerie charm and leaving visitors questioning whether they are alone. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of the Strata Hotel's hauntings. Guests have glimpsed dark silhouettes in mirrors, fleetingly reflected as they pass by, only to vanish when observed directly. These figures are often described as human-shaped, moving silently along hallways or lingering near doors and staircases. Some witnesses report seeing apparitions in period clothing, hinting at the hotel's historical inhabitants, travelers, railroad men, or perhaps long-forgotten guests who never checked out. The fleeting nature of these sightings contributes to a sense of unease, a feeling that the past is somehow brushing up against the present. Mirrors themselves are said to act as portals or amplifiers for spectral activity. Guests have described sudden chills when looking into reflective surfaces, or noticing brief movements behind them that vanish when they turn around, reflecting a figure standing just outside the room or behind a doorway. These experiences, coupled with other sensory phenomena, create a multi-layered haunting that engages both the eyes and the imagination. The Strata Hotel's guest rooms are often reported as centers of paranormal activity. Guests staying overnight occasionally wake to find objects slightly moved, beds unsettled, or doors ajar despite being secured. Some report feeling an invisible presence at the edge of the bed, a gentle pressure on their shoulders, or the sensation of being watched throughout the night. These encounters, while rarely threatening, leave an indelible impression, giving a sense of the hotel's long history and the lingering souls who remain attached to it. Historical context provides insight into the Strata Hotel's spectral residents. The hotel has served countless guests over more than a century, many of whom lived and died during eras of hardship and change. Travelers of the Old West often faced danger, uncertainty, and isolation, and the memories of those experiences are thought to have left residual energy within the building. The spirits may be echoes of those who once walked the halls, repeating familiar routines or observing the living as they once observed each other. Staff members have also reported unusual experiences. Housekeeping personnel occasionally find rooms slightly disheveled despite being cleaned, and maintenance workers hear unexplained noises coming from empty spaces. Some employees have felt cold spots or sudden shifts in air pressure, often in areas associated with historical significance within the hotel. These repeated occurrences reinforce the notion that the hotel's paranormal activity is not isolated to guest reports, but is a consistent presence observable by those who work there daily. Auditory phenomena extend beyond footsteps. Some guests have heard faint voices, laughter, or the murmur of conversations from rooms that are empty. The sounds often feel just out of reach, as if coming from another time or dimension. At times, these voices appear to interact with guests, prompting curiosity, unease, or a fleeting sense of companionship with the past. The Strata Hotel's blend of Victorian elegance and ghostly presence makes it an immersive encounter for those drawn to the supernatural. From flickering lights and footsteps echoing through hallways, to shadowy figures glimpsed in mirrors and objects moving mysteriously, the hotel offers a haunting experience rooted in history. The spirits seem tied to the building's long-standing role as a haven for travelers, preserving echoes of lives lived long before the present day. Visitors leave the Strata with stories that linger, an awareness that the hotel's history is not confined to photographs or documents, but is actively present in the halls, rooms, and corridors. Whether felt as a subtle chill, heard as a distant laugh, or seen in a fleeting shadow, the spectral presence at the Strata Hotel ensures that the past never truly leaves, making it a centerpiece of Durango's haunted lore. Leadville, Colorado, a town steeped in mining history, holds more than the echoes of industry and wealth. Beneath its streets and hills, an intricate network of mining tunnels stretches for miles, carved by prospectors chasing silver, gold, and the promise of prosperity. Yet these tunnels are not merely relics of human endeavor, they are repositories of restless spirits. Miners who perished in collapses and accidents are said to linger. Visitors to Leadville's old mining tunnels often report a profound sense of being watched, a subtle but insistent awareness that they are not alone. The air within the tunnels feels heavier, carrying a dampness and cold that seems unnatural even for underground passages. Some adventurers have felt sudden gusts of icy air. These drafts are not tied to open entrances or natural ventilation, but appear in isolated sections of the tunnels, often where accidents once occurred, suggesting a lingering imprint of past tragedy. Lights behave strangely within these subterranean passages. Modern visitors carrying lanterns or flashlights report sudden flickers, dimming and brightening without explanation. Sometimes, a light will sway as though disturbed by an invisible hand. casting elongated shadows that twist along the rough-hewn walls. At other times, faint glows appear at the end of a tunnel, vanishing when approached. Witnesses often describe these phenomena as more than mere tricks of the eye. They carry a presence, a feeling that someone or something is guiding, warning, or observing them. Auditory phenomena are equally compelling and unsettling. Whispers seem to emerge from the stone and timber, drifting along the narrow corridors as though the voices of miners from long ago are attempting to communicate. Some hear faint shouting or the rhythmic clink of pickaxes echoing through the tunnels, sounds that evoke both the labor and the danger of a mining life. These noises often appear when the tunnels are empty, unaccompanied by other human activity, creating a sense that the past is alive, replaying itself in cycles. Visitors occasionally report hearing their names whispered softly, as if the spirits wish to draw attention to themselves, a reminder of lives interrupted too soon. The tunnels themselves hold an oppressive atmosphere, intensified by their historical context. Leadville was a town of ambition and risk, where miners worked long hours in hazardous conditions. Cave-ins, gas leaks, and flooding claimed countless lives over the years. Those who did not survive are believed to have left imprints of their final moments on the tunnels they called home. The spaces where tragedy struck most severely are often the sites of the most intense paranormal experiences, cold spots, unexplained shadows, and sudden feelings of panic or sorrow. Some visitors claim to have witnessed visual apparitions. Figures clad in period clothing appear and vanish within seconds, often at the edge of vision. Miners carrying lanterns, trudging through the mud, or crouched in narrow shafts have been reported by multiple witnesses. These visions are usually fleeting, sometimes accompanied by the sound of distant footsteps or the clang of tools. Whether these are echoes of memory imprinted on the tunnels or the spirits themselves moving unseen, they contribute to a pervasive sense of historical presence. Physical sensations are also reported by those who explore the tunnels. Many describe feeling a brush against their shoulder or arm, as if someone unseen has passed close by. Others speak of sudden fatigue or dizziness, sensations that vanish once they leave the tunnels. Some adventurers have dropped objects inexplicably, while others report tools or equipment shifting slightly, as though nudged by invisible hands. These tactile encounters reinforce the idea that the tunnels are not merely spaces carved from rock, but living repositories of memory, sorrow, and unfinished business. The psychological impact of exploring Leadville's mining tunnels cannot be overstated. The combination of darkness, narrow passages, historical knowledge, and unexplainable phenomena creates a sense of immersion that goes beyond traditional, haunted locations. Visitors are confronted with the harsh realities of mining life and the lingering imprint of those who suffered within these confined spaces. It is this intertwining of history and haunting that gives the tunnels their unique character, a place where the past continues to make its presence known. Paranormal investigators have often been drawn to the tunnels, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, frequently yield faint whispers or groans. Cameras capture orbs or fleeting shadows, and temperature readings reveal sudden drops in areas with no logical explanation. These investigations reinforce the idea that the tunnels are haunted, though they rarely provide definitive answers, leaving room for mystery and speculation. For those who venture into Leadville's subterranean labyrinth, the experience is both thrilling and unnerving. Every echo, draft, and flicker of light carries the weight of history. The spirits of miners who toiled, suffered, and sometimes perished within these tunnels seem to linger, preserving the memory of their lives and deaths. Exploring the tunnels is not just an adventure, it is a confrontation with the past. A step into a place where the living and the dead coexist in a fragile, haunting equilibrium. Leadville's mining tunnels are more than historical artifacts. They are portals to the past, resonating with the energy of those who worked beneath the earth. From flickering lights to whispered voices, spectral figures, and chilling drafts, the hauntings of these tunnels provide a vivid, immersive encounter with history and the supernatural. Visitors leave with stories that linger, a sense of the miner's presence still palpable in the shadowed corridors, and a reminder that some echoes never fade. Beneath the bustling streets of Central City, Colorado, lies a hidden world few ever see. A sprawling labyrinth of underground tunnels, cellars, and passageways. Originally built to support the town's mining operations, provides storage for saloons and businesses, and offers secret routes for smuggling and escape during the gold rush era. These subterranean spaces now hold a far more mysterious presence. Many visitors and historians alike have reported strange occurrences, suggesting that the Central City Underground is more than just a relic of the past. It is a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. Walking into the underground, one immediately senses the difference. The air is heavy and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and aged wood. Shadows seem to cling to the walls, and even the faintest sources of light, flashlights or lanterns, flicker unexpectedly. Numerous reports from those who have explored these tunnels describe sudden chills and a feeling of being watched, sensations that grow stronger as one ventures deeper into the labyrinth. It is as if the walls themselves remember every footstep that has ever crossed the underground floors. One of the most common experiences reported in the Central City Underground is the sighting of ghostly figures. Witnesses describe fleeting apparitions of miners, townspeople, and long-dead residents walking the corridors as if continuing their daily routines. Some have seen shadowy forms moving swiftly along passageways, disappearing just as the observer attempts to focus on them. Others describe figures standing silently at the far end of a tunnel, their features indistinct but undeniably human, only to vanish when approached. A subtle warning that the past is very much alive in these hidden spaces. The underground is also known for its strange lights. Visitors frequently report orbs or glowing shapes drifting through the tunnels, casting a pale, unearthly glow on the stone walls. In some cases, these lights seem to react to the presence of intruders, pulsing or moving as if aware of the living observers. Some believe these luminous phenomena are tied to the spirits of miners or townspeople, remnants of energy left behind from lives lived long ago. Others speculate that the lights are a manifestation of residual memory, echoes of the past replaying in the darkness. Auditory experiences in the tunnels are perhaps even more unsettling than visual ones. Footsteps, echoing through empty passageways, are among the most frequently reported phenomena. These sounds often seem deliberate, paced in ways that suggest someone walking purposefully rather than random echoes. Visitors have also reported whispers in languages long forgotten, voices calling out names, and the clinking of invisible tools as though miners are still at work. Some claim to hear laughter or conversation from empty cellars, giving the sense of a hidden society frozen in time. The history of Central City adds a tangible weight to these experiences. During the gold rush, the town thrived, attracting miners, saloon owners, gamblers, and entrepreneurs. The underground tunnels were used for both practical and clandestine purposes, storing supplies, smuggling alcohol, and providing secret routes during times of conflict. Tragedies were not uncommon accidents in mines. Bar fights, spilling into cellars, and sudden deaths left emotional imprints on the spaces that were later abandoned. Many believe that these intense emotions and dramatic events have left a permanent mark on the tunnels, a psychic residue that manifests as hauntings. Today, physical sensations are also frequently reported by those who explore the underground. Visitors often feel a sudden brush against their arm or shoulder, a weight on their chest, or an inexplicable pull, as though someone unseen is guiding or warning them. These tactile experiences are fleeting but leave a lasting impression, making the explorer acutely aware of the subterranean environment and its invisible inhabitants. The combination of these physical, auditory, and visual phenomena creates a layered, immersive haunting unlike most surface-level ghost stories. Some accounts describe interactions with the spirits themselves. Guests have reported feeling as though a ghostly hand gently guides them through particularly treacherous areas or stands close by as a protective presence. Others recount moments where a cold draft seems to circle them deliberately, creating the impression of a spirit following or observing their movements. Even objects within the tunnel's crates, tools, or furniture have been reported to shift slightly on their own, lending further credence to the idea that the past continues to influence the present. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to the Central City underground. Using thermal cameras, EVP devices, and other equipment, they often capture unexplained anomalies. Cold spots appear in areas with no logical airflow. Whispers are recorded on playback despite empty tunnels, and fleeting shadows are caught on video. While these findings cannot conclusively explain the phenomena, they reinforce the stories of countless visitors who have experienced the underground's eerie presence firsthand. Exploring the tunnels is more than an adventure. It is a journey into a space where history, tragedy, and the supernatural converge. The Central City Underground offers a unique encounter with the town's past, allowing visitors to witness echoes of lives long gone. Every shadow, whisper, and flickering light seems to tell a story, reminding explorers that the energy of those who walked these passages before them still lingers, refusing to fade entirely. For those brave enough to venture below Central City, the underground is a place where time blurs, where the living meet the echoes of the dead, and where every step carries the weight of history. The ghostly figures, strange lights, and disembodied voices ensure that the subterranean labyrinth remains one of Colorado's most haunting and unforgettable locations. Colorado is a land of breathtaking beauty, but its mountains and valleys hold stories that are far darker than their sunlit peaks suggest. From grand hotels and theaters to abandoned mines and historic cemeteries, these 20 haunted places remind us that the past is never truly gone. Spirits linger, memories endure, and the unseen world often walks quietly beside the living. If you dare to explore, you may glimpse what others have long feared to see. A fleeting shadow. Colorado's haunted places are not just relics of history. They are living reminders that some stories never end, and some spirits never rest.